Y'all just further in.
Hello and welcome in. What is good, everybody? This was brought to my attention on Twitter. It was retweeted by Seth Dillon. It's about 5 minutes long. I do want to listen to it in its entirety. I mean, I listened to it earlier, and I think everyone should listen to this. I'll give you a short synopsis before we even watch into it. I mean, this kid essentially roasts and exposes a lot of the individuals on his school board and a lot of the inner workings, what's going on in the high school. I mean, he even says, like, you know, I know a lot of you on the board don't have children in the school still, so let me rattle off some things that are going on that you might not be aware of. And so, without further ado, let's listen to this.
Hi, my name is Brad Taylor, and I just finished my freshman year at RHS. I've been a part of District 196 schools now for 10 years, and I'm going to give you a glimpse today of what's actually going on inside these schools.
So he's went to this school his entire life, essentially. 10 years, if he's a freshman, that's got to mean every single year he has spent at this RHS school district.
Despite the board's attempt to deny it, District 196 schools are quickly becoming a place where promoting activism is actually more important than promoting education. I'll take you back to my first day at RHS this fall. The principal came out and gave us a heartfelt speech about equality and standing together. He began to list countless races, such as Latino, Asian, expressing how much they matter and how important they are. But never once did he mention a race or identity that reflects me, or half the kids that were in the class.
I do gotta say, just shortly into this kid is extremely articulate.
Now, members of the board, I know you haven't been to school in a while, and I know none of you, or most of you, don't have any kids left in the school district. But you must admit how uncomfortable it will be to be characterized just by your skin color on the first day of school, and be thought that you were wrong just because of your skin color. So I'll never forget the look one of my friends gave me from across the room as we were sitting there listening to this blatant bias being expressed in the so-called equity statement by the leader of our school.
I think that shows a sentiment that kids are still getting to a point where at school, their culture from home meets the culture at school, and they are noticing the heads butting.
To be clear, I don't need you to tell me that I matter, but hearing the condolences given to other races and leaving just one race out, it inevitably you'll start to feel like you've done something wrong. And in our principal's attempt to unify us, he instead created unwarranted boundaries and barriers between his students, pitting us against each other based on characteristics that we can't control. In another separate instance, I was told that writing "All Lives Matter" on the whiteboard was political and could be seen as offensive. When I questioned the teacher after class, she told me that she didn't have an answer and she just had to erase it, and it was quickly erased. There are political signs all over RHS, about specific races that matter, specific sexual orientations that matter, and specific perspectives that matter. But when I questioned the RHS administration about how these signs were political, they told me that they were supporting human rights. So when I questioned why the equity statement couldn't represent all students, they told me that to even ask that question was outlandish and offensive.
How dare you? You know, insert Greta Thunberg here.
And when I asked why that was, they told me, quote, "Whites have a pretty good situation right now," unquote.
Now, I'm not sure. I think that's like the first of like 3 times you're going to hear some people in the background. I imagine that this speech was a bit prepared, and like parents were aware that he was going to rail on the board when this was going in. So I'm glad that he had people there to support him and let him know that there's people in the community that do have his back when it comes to feeling the way that he does towards a lot of this woke garbage.
So is that not racism? Disregarding my question merely because of the color of my skin? To be honest, after enduring a year of the people in charge telling me that I'm a racist and I'm privileged and pointing out our irreversible differences, I've never noticed race more. And it's because
this is something I brought up to one of my closer friends who has a lot of these talking points where it's like, if everything that you bring up, race is the quality in which you are bringing up the context, it is hard for me not to think that you or the person who is obsessed with race to always be pointing out black person did this to Asian, or Indian person did this to white person, or white person did this to, and it's like it's reducing all of the story down to their skin color.
the first thing I notice when I meet someone, which has never before been the case. RHS administration confidently told me that RHS students and staff are happy with their equity statement, but from my experience in talking with other students, this is not the case. I know many kids who disagree with their teachers, but they're too scared to stand up because they're worried that their grades will be docked and their learning experience will be affected. My honors government teacher, I'm not going to say his name, but he's mentioned that Democrats care more about all people while Republicans only care about themselves.
That kind of inserting of non-objectivity, like to insert specifically from the teacher who is teaching like U.S. government, that is gross. That is gross that you would not allow children to come to their own conclusions about the Democrat and Republican Party. I mean, I'm a conservative and I wouldn't even want you to be espousing conservative talking points. I would prefer that you just broadly show objectively both sides. You are a government teacher. You are not a Democrat recruiter.
And he's also inferred to us that socialism is better than democracy. He even had a statue. He had a statue of a socialist leader in his classroom. I've been told by a lot of kids that they just stay silent and adjust their schoolwork to reflect an acceptable opinion to secure a good grade. I've been approached by multiple teachers who have told me in private that they just want to say that they agree with me and they support me standing up, but they can't say it in front of the class for fear of being disciplined by the administration in some way or losing their jobs.
Teachers are so terrified they would not support this child in his endeavors. This kid, I should say. That's sad and pathetic. You are supposed to be the integral outreach resource arm for children in public school settings. How dare you fail this kid?
There is clearly only one way to think in this district, and that is that they are teaching their kids to shut up if they don't agree. Now, members of the board, I want you to take a good look at yourselves in the mirror tonight and ask, are you really standing up for the equality of all people, or are you just pushing a damaging political ideology on our students?
They know what they're doing. You have to be dumber than a box of rocks to not know what you are pushing in these schools.
A fellow coworker at my job, who by the way is of color, discreetly told me that the schools seem to be pushing a very leftist agenda in class. This proved that not everyone is happy with your school, and not everyone who isn't happy is white. Now, due to all these instances I've mentioned and many more that I can't fit in this 5-minute speech, I've decided to leave this district and continue school on a private Christian school online.
And so should you, if you are still taking your children to some of these just intoxicated with ideology schools.
And there will be sacrifices, and I will not get to walk in the graduation ceremony or attend milestones at RHS, but I will be able to learn in an environment that is not intent on punishing me daily for my skin color and political views. Now, regardless of how you take my speech, whether you just shrug it off as malarkey or Fox News talking points, I encourage you to think about it, because someday I'm going to be a leader. I may be the president, a governor, or just a professional golfer, but I will never stop believing that everybody has value, no matter their skin color or personal beliefs, and it's a shame that you're not going to be able to say that I was an alumni of RHS in District 196. Thank you.
Powerful. That's fuego. It'll be a shame that you won't be able to call me an alumni of this school. Walks off. And boom, wrecked. This lady was wrecked. It's powerful, man. And I think it's cool. I think it's good that we get more of this kind of material from the children themselves. As, you know, we get more and more people that deny that these things even take place in school. They deny the validity of these kids' claims. They deny that this is even damaging in any kind of level. These are human rights that should be taught, that should be espoused, yet deny the kid to write "All Lives Matter" on a whiteboard. It's despicable stuff. I'm sure his parents are proud, you know. I'm sure everybody in that, even the community who feels the same, who knows the parents or knows the kid, they had to have been proud. That was a beautiful speech. Hopefully more of this stuff happens. Anyways, peace.